So you can take the good with the bad. At the end of the day, the Padres, they're doing good. They're doing all right. They're 13-12. They're on the outside looking in of the NL West. The NL West is pretty solid. Outside of the Dodgers, you got the Rockies, the Diamondbacks, and then the
Which is
Padres and the
crazy.
Giants aren't very good.
It's insane, though, because just a couple episodes ago before the season, we were talking about, I think it was when we were doing our predictions, we were like, does anybody have anyone other than the Dodgers? Or because I don't think there's any team that can compete in this division. And now we have it's a 4-team race.
And it's good to see.
Not that the Diamondbacks are going to hold up, because I don't think they will. I feel like their lineup just kind of like hits in spurts. Like they just get hot for a couple games and then they completely go cold. And then I don't know. You look at like the Padres. Like I think they're probably the second best team in this division, and the Rockies are just shocking. Like they're supposed to be literally a bottom 5 team in the MLB this year.
I mean, it's just one of those things about how this season's going to work out, that you get a hot streak and then all of a sudden you're into it in late September. And I'm not saying that anyone's going to catch the Dodgers. Dodgers are 17-7, best record in the National League. But it's for that wild card and for that second spot in the division, and then those 2 other wild cards. I mean, the NL West is right in there. So we can have a situation where 4 teams from the same division, if it works out that way, 4 teams from the same division make that playoffs. And, with the 2 out of 3, anything could happen. It's not that 1-game wild card game, which is kind of a crapshoot. The 2 out of 3 gives teams an opportunity for some breathing room if they lose that first game. And a team that really benefits from that this year would be the Oakland Athletics, who are just on fire. They've lost, actually. They lost today, or they're losing today.
They're down 9-1 in the 6th.
They're down 9-1 in the 6th.
I had them
They lost yesterday, but that Giants series, when they came back in the 9th, seemingly every day, they have a lot of magic going on in Oakland. I mean, the Astros struggled to begin the season, and they've won 6 straight since then, so they're getting back on track. The Astros are, which you kind of figured was inevitable. But the Oakland Athletics are a really, really solid baseball team. They got good pitching. They have a very good lineup. And this is a team the last 2 years that have won 90-plus games, but they just fall into that wild card where anything could happen. And then they lose to a Yankees team that won 100 games in 2018. And then they play the Rays, and they got shut out by Charlie Morton at home, which is something that can happen in a 1-game series. So the team, in my opinion, that benefits the most from this playoff expansion and the elimination of the 1-game round of the wild card would be the A's, because they have another opportunity, if they falter in game 1, to still pick up that series and advance in the playoffs.
Yeah, they've been electric so far. The 2 grand slams to win a game, and then the other night, Stephen Piscotty hit another grand slam to, I believe it was tie the game or go ahead against the Giants in the 9th inning. I've said it before. They're a team that doesn't have that big name star, but just a ton of really good baseball players that just are going to do their job, and you can rely on them. They've been exciting. I haven't always believed in the A's just because we've seen it. They've been the victim of this wild card game multiple times. They were the victim of it back in, was it 2014 when they lost to the Royals in an epic game. They lost to the Yankees, and you mentioned they lost to the Rays. It's good for them. I know we'd all love, everybody that watches baseball, that likes baseball, would love to see the A's win this division just because it means the Astros didn't. So if they can keep it up, they're in a great position to be a threat in the American League.
And even with this hot start, jumping out to a 16-7 record, the Astros are still there. I mean, they would look terrible first couple of weeks of the season. Altuve, even still today, looks terrible, but they're still around. They're 3.5 games back. They've just won 6 in a row. So you can't discredit what the Astros have done. It's going to be interesting to see, Tyler, how the AL West shakes out.
Yeah, I mean, Houston's won 6 straight at this point. They're 13-10 now. I mean, it was looking down for them. It's still looking down. They're winning close games. I think what's happening for them is like their pitching is really coming around. Because Altuve is now hitting 6th in the lineup. He dropped under 170 today. Springer, much of the same. Bregman's kind of like that middle of the pack guy. And then Correa is actually having a pretty good year. But I don't know. I looked at their lineup today, and it was just like, I think Springer was sitting, and then Correa came in to pinch hit. But the starting lineup for them, it was guys like I've never heard of, but they're finding ways to win games. So
I think
I don't know.
when it comes to the AL West, I think the key for everyone will be if and when Verlander comes back, what is he? So if Verlander comes back and he's Justin
he was
Verlander,
out for the year.
That was like immediately like rebutted by Verlander himself.
Yep.
So if he comes back by, the beginning of September, mid-September, and he puts together a few good starts, that could be the difference between winning the division or settling for the second place spot or one of the wild cards. But, how important is actually winning the division this year? In terms of seeding, it's important, but top 2 teams automatically make the playoffs. So, and the fact that there's no fans and there might be a bubble for the playoffs, what is home field advantage in the playoffs? So, what I think we're going to see towards late September is sort of what we saw prior to the implement of the expanded wild card 10 years ago, when teams don't prioritize winning the division. Instead, they prioritize health and getting their starting pitching lined up. So we'll see what happens. But, there's a lot of moving parts to this baseball season.
Yeah, you can kind of just coast into the postseason if you're a team that, you feel that you're going to be there. Astros are most likely going to be that second team in the West or first, depending on how things go for them. Yeah, you said it. It's probably going to be a coast at this point for a lot of teams. There are going to be teams that are still fighting and scratching to get into that wild card spot. But if you're one of those top 2 teams in the division, you're probably going to, pump the brakes a little bit, make sure that you do have your rotation set for that postseason push.